Good morning, student. Today we're going to continue with the chapter Judiciary, and today we're going to start from Public Interest Litigation or PIL. So many people who cannot have their rights enforced by the court because either they are poor to bear the cost or are not educated enough to put their rights or otherwise disadvantaged by somehow. So, when the rights of such people are violated, any person or any organization can file a petition for redress in a high court or in the Supreme Court. Such a petition may also be filed in public interest to make a government perform a public duty, or when something like environmental pollution harms or threatens to harm the public. The process of making or defending a claim in the court of law is called litigation. So, what is a litigation? It is the process of making or defending a claim in the court of law. So, litigation for protecting public interest is called public interest litigation. So, appeal is different from other litigation in that it is not necessary for the affected people to themselves file the petition for starting legal proceedings. Anyone acting in public interest may do so. Appeal is also similar to file than any other cases. Even a letter or a telegram explaining the fact may be treated as a petition. The court may itself take notice of a wrong done to the public and act on its own or act in accordance with that. Suppose in April 2001, the Rajasthan branch of an organization called People's Union for Civil Liberties filed appeal in the Supreme Court for enforcement of the right to food as a part of the fundamental rights to life mentioned in Article 21 of Indian's Constitution. The petition pointed out to the court that starvation deaths were being reported from various states at a time when the country's food stocks were overflowing. So it was found that several state governments were neglecting their duty to provide food to the people, although huge stocks of grain were rotting in the godowns. So while hearing the case, the Supreme Court gave various orders to the state government to increase the people access to food. For example, it asked the state government to improve the distribution of food through the public distribution system and to provide a cooked midday meal to school children. This case shows how appeal can be used to redress wrongs done to the people. So appeal have also been used to get court orders issued for the payment of minimum wages to laborers, for polluting industry to take steps to control pollution and so on. So court judgments do not always go in favor of disadvantaged people, and courts often take so long to pass judgment that the victims are in effect denied justice. As you know, justice delay is justice denied. So, for example, the Supreme Court allowed the Sardar Sarovar project on the river Narmada to continue even though the people displaced by it were not properly resettled elsewhere. The hearing of the case were repeatedly delayed. Ultimately, it became clear that only after the construction were completed and the lands of the displaced people were submerged, the court could decide whether the constructions were illegal. So, over time, the courts may also change the way they look at a particular issue. For example, in the case of Olga Tellis versus Bombay Municipal Corporation around 1985, the Supreme Court held that the right to livelihood is a part of the right to life mentioned in Article 21 of our Constitution. So it declared that pavement dwellers who lost their means of livelihood if evicted could be resettled elsewhere. In some later cases, however, the courts have seen pavement dwellers as encroachers. And when ordering the destruction of unauthorized dwellings, they have discouraged settling the evicted people, as this could encourage others to settle on public land. So, how a case moves from lower to higher court. We have already known that the case can be taken as appeal from lower court to higher court in case of High Court and Supreme Court, and ultimately to the Supreme Court. For a criminal case to be started, a crime must first be reported to the police, and a formal complaint must be filed. Initially, a crime case may be heard in the court of a judicial magistrate, and there are various types of magistrates. If the accused is adjudged guilty, he may appeal to the court to the session judge. If the session judge does not alter the decision, the accused may appeal to the High Court of the state. A person adjudged guilty in a High Court may, with the permission of the same High Court, appeal to the Supreme Court also. The Supreme Court is the highest court in the country. So the Supreme Court itself hears appeal against its own decisions and revises the decisions if necessary. A person sentenced to death by the Supreme Court may appeal to the President of India for mercy. The President may change the death sentence. So civil cases may begin either in the court of the Munsi or in the court of the sub-judge. From here, such cases may be taken in appeal first to the court of the district judge, then to the state high court, and ultimately to the Supreme Court. So these are the ways how the judiciary work. So what we have learned, just recapping those things. First, the judiciary is the one of the organ of the government. And what is the duty of judiciary? To interpret the law, punishes the lawbreakers, settle disputes, protect the citizens' rights, and uphold the constitution. In India, the judiciary has been made independent of other two organs of government, that is legislature and executive, so that it can give justice impartially. It has a power of judicial review also. Civil cases are heard in civil courts and criminal cases are heard in criminal courts. The Indian judiciary has a pyramid structure. The subordinate courts are at the base. Above these are the state high courts. A high court may serve one or more states and union territories. Above the high court is the Supreme Court, which is the apex court in the country. Appeals can be taken from the lowest court to the highest court. The Supreme Court is heard by the Chief Justice of India. Its judges, including the Chief Justice, are appointed by the President of India, and their retirement age at the age of 65. The Supreme Court exercises original, appellate, advisory, and supervisory jurisdiction, and it is a court of record also. A High Court has a Chief Justice and other judges appointed by the President. High Court judges retire at the age of 62. The High Court is the highest court in a state. It exercises original, appellate, supervisory jurisdiction, and it is also a court of record. In a district, the highest civil and criminal courts are respectively the court of the district judge and the court of the session judges. The same judge preside over both the courts as the district judge or the session judge, as the case may be. Then we have Nyaya Panchayat at the village level court that hear and settle small cases. So these are the important thing that we have read in judiciary. Thank you, student, for today. In the next class, we'll provide with the question answers. Bye bye.